let me start here, and I want to ask you as well as the audience.
Hmm.
If Bernie Sanders loses the nomination, would you want him to take the VP spot?
No.
Why?
I would want no, because after all this time of talking about how Hillary Clinton is antithetical to XYZ position, policies, etc., to then turn around and be her VP, it's ridiculous. It was the same thing with Obama and Hillary, right? Like they went so hard at each other. It's one thing to say, okay, this person is competent, I can get behind them and support them, but to be the vice president, that's basically dubbing someone as your number two. Same thing with her, right? Like she has dogged him. They tried to make him be out like some crazy old Mr. Magoo type. Like I could not see that happening. Besides the fact that all this hype about his age, I think he needs a younger VP. I think they both need VPs. Don't hate me, y'all, but I think both of them need VPs of color, and I think that she's lying about having a woman. I think that I think her VP will not be a woman. If she is the nominee, she's already allegedly said it's going to be one of the Castro boys or Cory Booker. What I do not like is that they have all these people hanging around dangling as if they're really going to get a shot. Like, we already know. They've told Cory Booker, they've told the Castro boys, they've told tons of people, no, it's not your time yet. The same thing they tried to tell Barack Obama, when he was assigned that he was going to run, that like, no, it's not your time. You need to wait. You need to get more seasoned. They have people dangling on. So no offense to Elizabeth Warren, but to have two old white women on the ticket, I don't see that as popping. Same thing with Bernie. People were saying like, oh, Martin O'Malley should be his VP. I don't see that working because especially if you're the candidate that has a black problem, getting another old white man, particularly someone that has kind of the taint that he has coming out of Maryland, that's not going to work. Bernie's going to need like Tulsi or Nina or somebody. He's going to need somebody to help round out his platform, and he's going to his position. He's going to need somebody who's younger. Hillary, that whole Elizabeth Warren stuff, and quite honestly, if Elizabeth Warren became her VP, that wouldn't make me vote for it at all. If anything, people would revolt against Elizabeth Warren even harder.
That would make me more upset with Elizabeth Warren. That would make
people would really like rail against Elizabeth Warren even harder. Like seriously.
Well, number one, to be honest with you, at this point, if I were on the progressive side of the aisle, knowing what Hillary Clinton is about and knowing what the results of this would be, I would try to distance myself and set up as like the opposition. Because as of right now, the battle for the Democratic Party, the battle for the power structure in the Democratic Party is up for grabs. And if you join with them, basically you accept some of their taint. Yeah. And I know I hate to say it like they're cursed and they're evil and all that, but it's really like when they get in there and kind of move to the center or kind of govern from the right and they mess up and basically do absolutely nothing. Yeah. More or less. If you're a part of that administration, you're going to be taking damage for that. And nobody really wants to sign up for that damage if you're not a part of that wing of the party.
You wouldn't want to see Bernie Sanders be her VP.
Oh, definitely not. If Bernie Sanders, to be honest with you, a part of what's attractive about Bernie Sanders as a voter is because, you figured that he was old enough that he just had no F's to give, right? Yeah. And that he was going to do what was right. But, looking at him now, I can see that he actually still does have, he's planning for the future, and he actually still does have stuff to do within the Democratic Party. So he's trying to hold on to his committeeship and make sure that, he keeps good with everybody and all of that. And I'm like,
and I'm serious, like you guys are gonna think I'm being an ass here, but he only makes $200,000 a year. And considering the cost of living in D.C. and the cost of maintaining a house in Vermont, he might actually need his jobs. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, but bottom line is, if you're progressive, you don't want to be a part of the Clinton administration because they're gonna get in there and it's gonna be problematic.
I don't want him to listen. The only way she has a fraction of a chance of unifying the party would be to have Bernie Sanders as the VP. I don't want him to be the VP because I want, and we need, a political insurgency, and that insurgency was not alive in President Obama's term because People thought that it was going to happen with Obama, and then people just start giving Obama room to just be Obama and just let it be, come see, come saw, right? But with Hillary Clinton campaign, like if she becomes president, there is a progressive insurgency that's going to build a movement underneath her. And if you put Bernie Sanders in the VP, then you kind of neutralize that. So I think honestly, if they're politically smart, they would pick Bernie Sanders as the VP. The question is, would he take it or not? Because that's the only way they're going to unify the party, and that's the only way that they could take wind out of a insurgent progressive movement. That's what I would do. If I was David Brock, and I know how he thinks because I'm an asshole just like he is, I would say there's no way you pick anybody else than Bernie Sanders because we need them to unify the party, and we need to shut up the progressives so they don't come kick our ass in 2014.
I would say that, I don't think it's going to be unified at all. Like, I think at this point, the only way that she could possibly unify the party is to actually govern in a way that kind of resembles Bernie Sanders to a certain point for enough of the progressives to fall in line. Now, don't underestimate the power of propaganda, though. Propaganda is going to play a big role in here. Because when Barack Obama was president, every time people had criticism of, y'all just need to be quiet.
Yeah, racist.
Yeah, you're either racist or you gotta be quiet. Change takes forever and a day. And let me just make a comment about change. Everybody talks about how hard change is and how long it takes to take effect and all of this. Let me be honest with you. The type of changes that we're making are almost the type of changes that we want to make would be almost universal. So if you're trying to do it incrementally, a little bit here, 5% here, 5% there, 5% next election, I'm going to tell you right now, all it takes is one election, one Republican, and they will tear down everything you have done in the prior 3 elections. So that method of change is really not possible with the way our political system works. What we need to do is get 80% in one go. And then that 80% is enough to actually get a constituency that will defend the policy and its good work that is done in that time period. So you have to get it in place, and have it affect enough people to where it's hard to take away. I think one of Obamacare's biggest mistakes is that it didn't do that. It affects such a small amount of people and everybody else kind of indirectly. So there's not enough support, even from the people that wanted to stay, to keep it around. Like if we lost one election, we could lose Obamacare, and then where would we be?
Good point. Good point. All right, Nick, I wanted to get you in there. It's 10:53.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's such an odd number to end the show on, but I want to relieve the Live Pro team, Live production team.
Thank you, Live Pro. Thank you so much for all you do.
For all the notes, for all the links and everything. You guys go to bed. Matter of fact, Spreaker. This is how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna play the closing music, and then anybody who needs to leave, I want you to feel free to leave and go to bed. Here's the closing music.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Crazy mother.
If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.